Hello there, people of the internet. You're probably going to hear some construction in the background. You'll have to bear with that. I'm coming to the gun range today and nothing's going to stop me. You're also probably going to hear Kevin. It's summer, he's been screaming a lot, so keep that in mind. Also, I'm moving up in the world. I got me this nice little shooting stand now, and by nice little shooting stand I mean a TV tray, but hey, my guns aren't on the ground anymore. Alright, so, because people freak out over pronunciation, I'm not going to try pronouncing this. This right here is an SDS Imports 1911. People have been wanting me to review this thing for quite some time. This right here is the box that it comes in. I have no idea how to pronounce that either. I'm imagining that this is pronounced Tisas or Tisas. I don't know, I'm sure somebody's going to yell at me for mispronouncing whatever the hell this is. In the comments below. They always do that. This right here is how it comes. You get yourself a little manual. There is a cleaning rod that comes with this firearm as well, but I took that out. Thank you, Kevin. I took that out and I actually used it, so that's not in this box right now, but it does come with the gun. Nice little foam padding, and right there's your 1911. This one right here, I don't know if they all come with it, but this one right here did little empty chamber indicator that you can slide into the gun if you ever feel like it. And I got a snap cap too. I was testing functionality. This does not come with the gun. This right here is just 45 ACP snap cap. That's my ordeal. Alright, well here you go. 45 ACP 1911. This here is one of those Turkish made ones, and it is made to look like your old GI issue 1911s. Definitely looks like something that is as retro as it gets. This thing looks like it's straight out of the Second World War, despite the fact that it's new. Couple good things, couple bad things about this gun right off the bat. The finish looks all right. We'll see how well it stands up here in the state of Florida. The trigger is actually really good. Like, even for 1911 standards, the trigger is very, very nice. I will, however, say that the recoil spring in this thing is stiffer than most 1911s that I played with. There's that construction work. There's Kevin screaming in the background. The trigger, or not the trigger, the recoil spring is a little stiffer. That would probably extend the length of the firearm. I'm assuming that since this 1911 is so cheap, the metals in it are probably not of the, highest quality. I'm also going to point out that the slide release right here is pretty significantly stiff. It's not like the worst 1911 I've ever felt. What is the worst 1911 I've ever felt? I think one of those old school 1980 Smith & Wessons probably has the stiffest slide release that I've ever felt. But this one definitely takes some effort. The biggest downside that I'm going to point out with this 1911 is our grip safety here. If you don't really get into that thing, I mean, it's not really that big of a deal if you're like gripping it and you're going to fire the gun because you really got to grip onto this thing. It's a 45 ACP. But if you're not really squeezing that thing, then it's not going to fire. Alright, now this particular firearm did come with one mag, 7-round mag. It's a flush fit magazine. I will also point out that this does have a lanyard loop on it. That right there is a very interesting touch. I think it's interesting to note that they decided to include that. The finish on the magazine is pretty much identical to the finish on the gun. Now, the biggest downside by far with this gun is the grips. They look cool. They look great, as a matter of fact, but they're plastic. Whenever I first saw these guns, I was thinking that it was like a nice dark painted wood. But no, these are plastic, and they are super cheap. You can hear they sound hollow on the inside. I would not be surprised if down the road that they stopped functioning. I said stop functioning. I would not be surprised down the road if they ended up breaking at some point, because they really do sound, they sound super cheap. And this one right here kind of moves around a little bit. I would be amazed if under recoil that didn't snap off over time. I'm stuck between getting new grips or continuing to use the old ones until they fall off and seeing how long they last. I think I'm probably going to do that just because of how they look. Alright, besides that, it's a standard 1911. The extractor itself, thank you, Kevin. Yes, I appreciate that. you're just brown nosing at this point. The extractor itself is internal, and I did notice this while I was playing around with this thing last night, the night before, one of those nights. I have a couple of K-mags. Whenever I had my Rock Island Armory 1911, these did not lock open the slide. This one right here locks open the slide on this 1911 just fine. I haven't had a single failure with this one. However, this K-mag, and they are both the exact same magazine, they're both from the same factory. I bought them literally from the same batch. They're just like the cheapest 1911 magazines that you can find on the market. This magazine only sometimes locks the gun open. Like right now, it's not. Let's see if I can make it lock the gun open. Hey, there we go. Did it that time. Okay, I don't know what kind of black magic's going on with this thing, but sometimes it locks the gun open, and that is a really solid lock on that slide release there. Sometimes it locks the gun open, and sometimes it does not. Let's see if I can get it to fail again. There we go. I don't understand it. I really don't. But hey, at least this K-mag right here locks the gun open. So now I have +1 1911 magazines that actually functions reliably. And this one does function reliably. Alright, of course I'm going to be using the factory magazine that they sent with it, because unless you stockpile 1911 mags like I do, you're probably just going to have the one. And I will point out that, by God, the spring in this magazine is probably about twice as stiff as these K-mags. Let me grab a GI magazine here. Alright, here we go. This right here is a legitimate GI 1911 magazine. Oh yeah. Oh, that spring is way stiffer than that one too. I have another GI mag here. Let's test this one. Yeah, the GI mags, the K mags, they all have much lighter springs than this one right here. So this here is probably going to help with feeding and reliability. Today's ammunition that we're going to be running is PMC bronze. This stuff may as well be called PMC gold at this point, because Jesus Christ, this stuff is expensive. Just some simple 230 grain full metal jackets. I have absolutely zero doubt that this 1911 can run this no problem. Typically with 1911s, you start finding they have issues with like hollow points or specialized ammunition. I have no idea if this gun is rated +P, so this standard ball ammunition shouldn't cause us any issues because it's not +P. And since it's a box of 50 and ammunition is stupidly expensive, I'm gonna go ahead and just do 5 rounds at a time. Practice ammo conservation like I used to back in the day. Here, I'll load up the factory mag and I'll load up one of these GI mags. We'll see how well it feeds from each of them, just for fun. This GI mag is much easier to load than the factory mag that came with the gun. The spring tension makes a huge, huge difference on that. Okie dokie. Wow. Go ahead and throw my ears on here. I actually forgot these earmuffs and I had to walk all the way back to my home to pick them up. Oh God, that's right. I smacked my head really hard yesterday. Ah, man, I can really feel that with these earmuffs now. All right, well, I'm just gonna go for the pink steel silhouette down there. I got it freshly spray painted. I'd say let's test the accuracy on this thing, but I'm not very accurate with handguns anyway. But either way, I should still be able to hit that thing just fine. So 5 rounds of 45 ACP. This is the factory magazine. Like I said, I have no doubts that this is going to run it just fine. Well, I missed my first shot. Thank you, Kevin. I appreciate that. I missed my second. Am I hitting low? It looks like I'm hitting low. Let me try aiming a little higher because I'm aiming center mass. I'm still hitting low. What the hell? There we go. Alright, so this thing seems to fire quite significantly low. It's also pulling way far left. That might just be me, but I'm aiming above the target. I made a hit last time. Let's try that again. Alright, once more. Maybe I'm aiming too high now. Alright. So the shots are going pretty significantly left. Like I said, that might just be me, but I'd like to think I'm a better shot than that. So now I'm going to try aiming right, and they are going pretty low. I'm still aiming above the target quite significantly. I'm going to aim to the right edge of the target. Let's see how that goes. I heard it go clink. I'm not sure where that one hit. Okay. All right. I figured it out. I knew something was wrong, because I know I'm a bad shot, but I'm not that bad of a shot. I knew something was wrong. Turns out the rear sight on this thing was knocked to the side. Just a hair, just a little bit, but enough to pretty significantly throw my aim off. It still does fire quite high, so it well, it fires low, not high. I gotta aim probably about, from this distance, about a foot high. So for your budget guns, that's pretty typical. But yeah, I noticed on my rear sight that it was, I was looking at the finish and I saw something shiny and I'm like, that doesn't look right. So yeah, I had to knock that back into place. So take that for what you will. Let's go ahead and see how she fires this time. Alright, so she still is a little left. Yeah, she's a little left. I'll have to knock that rear sight just a little bit further. I mean, it's nice and stiff. I don't know how the hell it got knocked out of place. Ah, okay. The drive over here, I had my extra magazines in the box with the 1911. Might have to take that into consideration, so I'll readjust that. Just a little tap, tap, tap. Ah, Christ. I got some hammer bite. So that is where that pain's coming from. All right, hammer bite appears to be a thing with this 1911. Okay, yeah. She fires probably about a foot low, and with the sights I have, probably about 6 inches left. Let me readjust that. Thank you, Kevin. I appreciate that, buddy. All right. Other than the sights being knocked out of alignment, this gun right here is running really well. And that sight knocking out of alignment, that was my fault. I mean, I came over here to side by side over dirt and terrain, and I had this thing tossing its box with 4 other 1911 mags. So probably my fault. I feel like it should have done better than that, though. Maybe I'll like JB weld those sights in place or something. I don't know. I'll figure that out whenever I get to it. But a little more tapping. Let's see how she goes now. Okay. Well, I was aiming pretty far right. Let me just go dead center and see if we hit it. I heard a clink, so I know we hit it. That might have been a little low, though. I heard another clink, so we are hitting it, but it's not pinging out the way it should. Maybe because it's adding angle. I can see the marks that we're making on target, though, but it's not ringing out the way that it should. That's odd. Maybe it's just the way the steel silhouette is. Let me go train a little higher. See if we can knock it out of whatever rut it's in. Or I'm going to miss entirely. Hell, at this point, I'm just kind of trying to figure out these sights and where it is exactly that they're supposed to be. I got a pencil with me. I'm going to go ahead and mark on the center of the gun where they're supposed to be. Because I tried eyeballing it, and it still shot pretty significantly left. Man, I'm just being eaten alive by that hammer. Alright, I'll make this my last mag. Because, I mean, we're pretty close. She still fires quite low, so... I mean, there's not really much that I can do about that. Shy of shaving down the front sight. But, I mean, she fires low to the point to where... if I did the shaving down the front sight method to raise it up, I'd shave the entire front sight off and probably some of the slide too. Okay. Man, I kind of wish I had some gloves on for this or something. Let's try it now. Okay. Alright, yeah, that's pretty good. Yep, we're hitting it now. Yep, we got it. Alright. No problem. All 5 rounds. So those sights are where they need to be. Let me mark that real quick. By God, with the amount of ammo I spent trying to figure this damn thing out, I could have bought another 1911 and only burned through about half a box of ammo. But hey, I figured it out. Keep that in mind whenever you get this gun. Rear sight, kind of finicky, at least on this one. Also, I might just replace this grip safety. That's what I'm looking for. I might replace this grip safety because this particular one actually really sucks. Not only that, but the beaver tail on it doesn't work. I'm slowly eating myself alive with that. So it is far from pleasurable. I will say that. Of course, I have like super big hands, so take that for what you will. But yeah, you can see whenever she comes down, she's right there on the edge of that beaver tail. Maybe I'll take the hammer to a thank you, Kevin. I'll take the hammer to a grinding wheel and just shave off the tip, maybe a fraction of a millimeter, half a millimeter, and that would probably really help with that. Of course, I also don't really want to do that to this nice looking gun. Maybe after the finish gets worn out some. But man, that grip safety sure sucks. Okay, well, final review of this gun. Grip safety sucks. The beaver tail is not nearly long enough. The hammer spur itself appears to be a little too long. She bit the hell out of my hand, and it's not like just once, because I tried holding lower and lower and lower, but just as you fire, it gets back to that point where my hand is just at the right size to where she likes to nibble on it. And boy, does she nibble hard. Those are probably the biggest downsides. The sights themselves, I haven't really heard of anyone else having their sights come loose like I did. And like I said, they are firm. I just kind of, hell, I took the butt of a magazine and I just kind of tapped them until they were there where they were supposed to be. I still have to mark it too. Remind me to do that. All right, remind me. Hold you to it, remind me. But looking at the sights themselves, they actually look like they have a little bit of deformation. Not on the side that I was tapping on. So, I don't know, maybe it's just a factory defect, because it looks like the deformation's been blued over. And at this price point, you know, their quality control has to be lowered. So much of a price point goes into man hours and construction and fiddling with everything, like making sure everything works properly. Speaking of working properly, I mean, she did work well. She cycled all the rounds, but these are just ball rounds, so any 1911 should be able to cycle that. I will point out that although I just shot, you know, half a box of ammunition, we're already seeing the finish starting to darken around the muzzle, not from, you know, muzzle blast and whatnot, but from the actual heating of the metal. So that there does tell me that this right here is not exactly the greatest of metals. Lots of cons, or lots of pros. Those are a couple of cons, but there's lots of pros about this gun. One, $400 1911. You can go out and get this thing, 400 bucks all day, every day. She ran great, runs the ball ammo fine. Thanks, Kevin. I appreciate that. Kevin likes the gun, and so do I. Looks great. Feels cheap, especially with these plastic grips. And I'd say if you want this for display purposes, you probably don't want to fire it much. I don't want it for display purposes. I bought it to shoot the absolute crap out of, because it doesn't take a lot of shooting at all to get that barrel or that slide to start changing colors. I don't think that's showing up on camera very well. It might be, but I'm blind, and even I can see that. So this gun does have its flaws, don't get me wrong, but it also has quite a few of its perks too. Mainly the price point. I mean, if you want a 1911 and you want a 1911 that doesn't have, you know, the cheap grips, you know, it has a properly fitted hammer and grip safety to where you won't get hammer bite, which kind of, you know, sucks. I intend on filming more videos today, and now I got to deal with this. One that doesn't have the sights, you know, fly off on you. One that is probably a little nicer and easier to cycle and rack and get that slide release down. Seems like the more I shoot it, the more the slide release stiffens. If you want a 1911 that doesn't have the problems that this 1911 does, you can invest, you know, another $100 and get yourself a much nicer example. Pay, what, 20% more and get 80% better quality? But at the same time, this is far from a bad quality gun. It handles very well. It's cycled very well. I've got less than a box of 50 through this thing right now, so I don't know the endurance of it or the life of it. We'll have to figure that out down the road, which we will down the road. Hopefully whenever ammunition prices get a little easier, and whenever I shoot this thing, I'm probably going to wear a glove because my hands are just right in the chewing spot of this 1911. Your hands may vary. One thing I will say about this, I have no idea how they managed to pull this one off, but the trigger on this thing is, like, even for a 1911, many 1911s I've played with, that is supremely nice. I can't get over that. Like, a buddy of mine actually has a chrome 1911 that he used for match shooting and whatnot, and it is not even that trigger compared to this one. I had to get myself one of those scales that you use to test the trigger weight of a firearm. It's got like a hook on it. I'll see if I can find one of those, because I feel like that would be a good addition to the channel, especially whenever I get ones like this. Now, I don't know if they all come with a trigger like that. Knowing the quality control, probably not. Some of them probably have really bad triggers for 1911s. So whenever you get yourself a gun in this price point, I mean, you're really playing the hit or miss game. Quality control's not going to be great, but for the most part, I'd say probably 7 out of 10. Guns will function flawlessly. But you might get yourself some lemons in there from time to time, and by God, I've gotten some lemons before, so is what it is. I've got me military surplus, Star BM, or police surplus, I guess. This right here is an actual issue 1911 model. Not actually a 1911, but good comparison's sake, since these right here are cheap guns and they are readily known to the public. This one's a 9mm, but I thought the trigger on this one was nice, and the trigger is nice on this one, but it pales in comparison. Like, that right there, I'd be afraid to walk around with one in the chamber in this thing, because I feel like if you breathe on it, it would fire. Let's try that. Okay. Didn't go off, so you might need a little bit more than breath. Hell, with how light that trigger is, I'm starting to wonder if maybe something is wrong in there. Maybe something's broken or not lining up properly. Now I'm concerned, because last thing I want is a full auto 1911. Anyway, I'm rambling on at this point. I enjoyed making this video. This was a fun time, despite the fact that I hurt myself and despite the fact that I spent $800 in ammunition, completely missing everything, just to figure out that my sights were not where they were supposed to be. But in the end, I figured it out, and we got it where it's supposed to be. It still shoots, you know, a foot low, so take that for what you will. Alright, well there you go. I finally reviewed this SDS Imports 1911. Tons of requests for it, and I figured I'd go ahead, do that, stick the video out there. By God, like, if my view count does not match the number of requests I've gotten for this gun, I'm gonna be upset. Alright? I will personally be upset. I will need to find my safe space. Okay, on the ride back, I'm going to go ahead and not put the magazines in the box with the 1911, because that seems to be bad luck. Anyway, thanks for watching, guys. Subscribe to the channel for more. Like the video if you actually like the video. That always helps out. Check out the description down below. You're going to find a link to social medias, Discords, gaming channel, probably some other stuff I'm forgetting about. Okay, well, the day is starting to heat up, and I want to make more videos. So I'm going to go off and do that. You guys go off. Have a fantastic day, and thanks for watching. Been a little while since I've done this. Bonnie and Clyde be damned. The poor man's Garen. It's a shame that bolt-action shotguns aren't more mainstream.